as I told you before, I kind of a stick in the mud sort of lifestyle. The first 18 years of my life, I lived within 1 mile of where I was born. And so I went to the schools that I went to. I went to Emerson School for 6 years. I went to Irving Junior High School, where my father went to Irving Junior High School. He knew the fight song when I mentioned it to him. How's that? In high school, the same. So we were there. Now, Elizabeth's family moved around a lot. She was born in Ogden, Utah, at the old D Hospital. And then her family stayed sometimes in Ogden, and sometimes in Burley, and sometimes in various places. They went back and forth. They didn't ever stay very long in one place, like 2 or 3 years, and they were up moving again. Jesse was a mechanic. That's what he did for a living. And just the way things worked out, that's how he did. He was down in Utah when his father-in-law, Seymour Davis, talked him into going to the Fort Hall Indian Reservation just north of Pocatello and taking over a store there on the reservation. There was a store, a gas station, and a restaurant, all kind of thing put together. And he talked him into buying that, which he did. He got great terms. He didn't know till later why he got such great terms. But they were there, and so he moved his family. Lopriel was not happy with that. His wife was not pleased, but he really didn't care. I shouldn't say that. He was determined. He was determined, and so they all went because that's what they did. And they all showed up at Fort Hall. And Elizabeth was young. I think they were 12 when she moved out there. And she started going to school at Blackfoot. But what really happened was the people who lived on the reservation were much better thieves than he was, a businessman. And he lost a lot of inventory just in a hurry. And everything kind of turned to mush. And he was, I think, if he didn't declare bankruptcy, which I don't think he had to, I think he just handed what was left of the store back over. And he moved into Pocatello. And he moved in right across from the church, and then found a place that they could buy up there on Clark Street. Matter of fact, it was just across the street, enough one house from where I lived. And so they moved in there. And I was everybody's going to Irving Junior High School, and everybody else was doing their stuff. Now, we had no girls on the hill. My sister was the only girl on the hill. There was a girl down at the bottom of the hill. She was about my brother Arthur's age. And then there were a few other girls in the ward, but mostly in our ward we had boys. We had 17 in my age group, young men.
Wow.
Not very many girls. We had a great athletic teams. We went to all church every year and everything because we were a whole bunch of big athletic kids. I was the least athletic, but I certainly enjoyed being on the team and having fun with all the guys.
That's good.
And we just did everything together. So we did lots of stuff. And so there we were, and these girls moved in. Have I told you how we met them? Let me explain. My brother was assigned to be, in those days, ward teacher. He was the ward teacher, he and Brother Gassman, for this new family that moved on, the Rasmussens. And so he said, Brother Gassman can't come with me. Will you come be with me? And I said, sure. And so he went over. And it's sort of in the process of moving in and getting settled. And you get to hear and all that stuff. So we went up to the door and knocked on it. It was a summer day. And Jesse answered the door. And Arthur said, we're the home teachers. We just thought we'd come and say hello. And he said, wonderful. And he turned back. And so I could see past him. He said, girls, come on in. The ward teachers are here. And I looked, and through the door came about 1,000 girls, one after the other. It seemed like 1,000. Seymour Davis had, I think, 5 daughters. And Jesse had 5 daughters. That makes, when you're looking at it and you're about 14 years old, that looks like about 1 million girls coming through that door. We already determined that I should be giving the lesson that time. I looked at Arthur and I said, I'll sit next to you on the couch, you get the lesson. And he said, Ernest, no, you just do that, I'm with you. He said, okay, so he sat down on the couch, and all these girls, and they were cute. There was a whole pack of cute girls coming in all around us, and Arthur waxed strong. He does that. He still does. And he pounded on the couch thing to make a point. Pound, and the dust came up out of, whatever. They threw it in a truck or something, and, the girls were embarrassed to death because, whatever. It's easy for little girls to be embarrassed. And Arthur and I were there, and so it was kind of one of those things we had. That was our first introduction. And then after that, my mother drove us up. We were just driving up. We drove up in front of our house. Arthur and I got out. Mother got out. As we started walking towards the house, I heard some girls over there at where the Rasmussens live, saying, Arthur, Howard, Shanna and Myrna love you. And that was Elizabeth and Elena calling to us, and then they hit the floor. So we looked around. There was Shanna and Myrna sitting there with their heads, their faces hanging out. They felt embarrassed. It was just, as things went. And we found out really quick that these kids had a great sense of humor. And